deal with another principle, which is called the law of sowing and what? Reaping. Work is a seed. Everything that you do, you are sowing a seed. Every work you do, even if you come and mop this room or arrange the chairs, any little work that you do is still a seed. It is like words. Your words are seeds. Everything you speak is a seed. You reap it. So when God created the earth, He said that this law will govern everything that takes place here on earth. Can we read this law? It is in Genesis 8:22. As long as the earth continues, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. So the sowing, it is out of this law that we have agriculture. And all the laws of economics, they all operate under this law. This law does not segregate. It affects all of us the same way. So your thoughts are seeds. What you thought last month, you allowed it to stay in your mind, then you repeat. You start to speak that way, and then you start to do accordingly. You think, you speak, you do. God told Joshua, this book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth. You should meditate in it day and night, because then you'll be able to do according to all that is written in it. So in other words, what you think is what you'll speak, and then that's what you'll do. So your thinking and your speaking is so important in order to enable you to do. Performance has a lot to do with the thinking and the speaking. If you are always speaking negatively, you will end up doing negatively. That's why we're dealing with the last session, to be careful what you constantly speak, to be careful what you constantly confess, because you will end up believing it and then working or doing accordingly. So the way God has worked or done, or created us in our bodies, in our minds, you end up producing what you keep thinking and what you keep speaking. For you, being doctors, you know this and understand it better than anybody else. If somebody starts saying, tukoye, tukoye, you will end up, the hands, bagambi tukoye, they said, we are tired. The eyes will say, what did they say? We are tired? Hey, it starts to doze. Even your bottom will say, nkoyo kutula. You know, every part of your body will now start to respond to what you keep thinking. That's why your thinking is so important. As a man thinketh, so he is. Proverbs 23 verse 7 says, as a person thinks, that's how he is. Can you now look at your neighbor? Watch him clearly. Do you see how he's looking? That's what he's thinking. So as a man thinks, so he is. So what you see there now is... Yeah. So people always end up being what they think. That's why you should be very careful what you keep thinking. What you keep meditating on will end up affecting the way you speak, and will end up affecting even your performance. So if you always have a negative attitude about yourself, low esteem, it will end up affecting every aspect of your life. So that's why change in the health sector and any other public sector has to start with the inner person. You'll be amazed. That's why I was asking the PS and the ministers here to consider these meetings regularly. You have no idea how much money you will save. By just bringing people here, it may sound expensive, but the impact that it would have on the general performance, you can't equate it to money. Just having people being of the same mind, of going back, just laughing together here and eating together and dancing. So what we'll do, we could do some dancing also. Because you see, God has created us with so much variety in Uganda. When you say, let's start with the people in the north. Come and dance. For people from the north always what? jump. I've been to Karamoja when they're always jumping. So then when you move to the east, you move from there to somewhere here. Honorable Pendi, I was there when they, for them, then the Karamoja there is up here. In the east, it is here. In the central, it is here. That is Busoga and Buganda. Then you go south, in the southern, it is here. So you can see whatever. So we have, so Uganda has a whole, the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. So you can see that by the time you finish, even if there was no salary increment, there is so much enthusiasm that is generated. Everybody goes back looking forward to the next to the next conference or meeting. So I'm praying also that we can have this, and I will come when the time I hear you are here. I will also come and start to talk, because we can change the whole performance, and the Ministry of Health becomes the model ministry. How do you like that? And many times it may not just be money, but just being of the same heart, of the same mind, of one purpose, it changes everything. It changes everything. Listening to each other and then explaining issues, so the thinking, therefore, becomes very, very important in changing an organization, in changing the attitudes, in changing. There is a section that I had wanted to share, but that time will not allow. But I know next time when I'll get to some of those issues when it comes to corporate performance and so on. So the law of sowing and reaping affects your performance. Let me show you how else. Apart from your thinking and your speaking, this performance also has an effect spiritually on your life. Suppose you are responsible to eradicate malaria in your district, and the resources have been provided, and you have the capacity to use them to eradicate malaria. The last time I knew malaria was killing 300 people a day. 300 people a day. We have 140 districts. That's about 2 or 3 people. Sorry, 120. 120. I keep. Sometimes I forget you here. They have added another. There's a group which they're being added. But okay, that would be about. Let's say 3 people per what? Per district, isn't it? Per day. So that means 3 times 360 will be how many? 3 times the 350 will be about 1,000. Okay. So suppose you have power and funds are provided for you to eradicate this in the district. It is in your power. The facilities are there. The funds are there. You have the resources, human and the financial. If you don't do it, and I want you to listen to this very carefully, where the sowing and reaping comes in. All these people who die, the 1,000 plus people, according to God, are on your hands. You had the power to stop their death. And they die. Look at the 1,000 families who are crying because you didn't do your part, when you had everything to do it. So where do you think, if these families, 1,000 families are crying, to whom are they crying? To God. Is God just? Yes. Do you think God is just? Yes. So when they cry, why are they crying? What are they crying for? Justice. Do you understand the point? When they cry, they are crying for justice. Let me give you an example in the Bible. You will hear it clearly. When Cain killed his brother Abel, God says to Cain, the blood of your brother is crying. Let me read it, because some people may think it is my own doing. So, in case you have your own Bible, you can open it. It's in Genesis chapter 4, verse 9. And I'm going to read it. I'm going to put it here so that we can all read it together. Do you all know the story of Cain and Abel? You know that they were the first two sons of Adam. One of them, Cain, is the elder brother, killed his young brother because of jealousy. Do you know that people kill each other because of jealousy? Now, sometimes it's not physical. Sometimes it's through words, through undermining, through what? But here, Cain actually physically killed his brother. And I want you to listen to what God is telling Cain. Can we read it? Verse 9. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" "I don't know," he replied. "Am I my brother's keeper?" The Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." Can we read verse 10 again? The Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." Does blood cry? Does blood speak? Look at that. Does blood speak? Yes, in Luganda tukiyita okululuma. 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 Any other language where you have it in your language? Okululuma. Okululuma. Mwako paffe kirabika. Any other language? Alipen. That one is alipen. Any other language? Okululuma. Where the blood, somebody who is killed. Okululuma. So in our languages, our people knew that when you kill somebody, they will kululuma, meaning they will be asking God for vengeance, for justice. Do you remember that when Kawesi was killed, somebody went and do you remember that thing? Do you remember that thing? Because they go and do something to stop the kululuma, because they know it is something that automatically happens. Some of you don't read newspapers when you're up there. But that's what happened. Everybody heard about somebody who went and got the blood, scooped the blood to take it to do some things to stop the kululuma. To stop the spirits, because demons get opportunity whenever you do something like that. Now, so God is telling Cain that the blood cries out to me from the ground. The blood of your brother Cain. Abel. Now listen to verse 11. When you are. Yes. Now, this is what happens when you kill people. Now, you people will not see it that way, that you have killed people. But what God sees is that you have murdered people, because you had the power to stop them dying, but you didn't. You either neglected or used the money otherwise, or before God. That's how he interprets most of the things. That's how it's important for us to explain them from that perspective. God looks at you as having murdered these people. Now you imagine murdering 1,000 people, and they're all on your blood, on your hands. Can you imagine? Can you raise your hands like this to God? So when he looks at the hands, he sees blood, 1,000. Every time. Can you imagine 1,000 people? Now, how many people are crying? Suppose they are men. That whole family is affected. Another family is affected. And another. So 1,000 families. Some of them are not going to go to school. Some of them from that moment onwards, their whole life is. Yet you had the power to save those people. And when your hands have blood on them, you go to God and start to pray. Now look at, let me show you another verse that will shock you. Isaiah chapter 1. Here, these people in Israel were doing these things. Are they too small or are they readable? Now here he's talking to this nation. They are doing all these things. And then he comes to this verse here and says, when you appear before me, these people would still go to church. When you come to appear before me, I'm tired. You are just trampling my courts. Stop bringing even the sacrifices, the meaningless offerings. Your incense is detestable to me. New moons and other things that you do, festivals and so on and so forth. Now, when you get to verse 15 is the one I want you to read. Verse 15. Can we read together? Why? The 1,000 people who you had the power to save and heal, and all that blood is on our hands. Now, when we look at your hand, we don't see the blood, but God sees that blood. Every time you murder, blood remains on your hands. Our physical eyes don't see it. But this is what he was telling Cain, that when you killed your brother, that blood was shed and poured in the ground. So I'm listening to his cry all the time. And whenever you lift your hands like this to pray, Lord, help me, he just sees blood. And our sins are just like that before God all the time. So this is why the law of sowing and reaping is very, very a big issue for us to understand. That whatever you do, you are sowing. If you are always causing pain to other people, and when they come in the line and say, Musawo kyaliwo, oh, Dr. Gundi aliwo mwana w'omuntu alabye bannange. So when they say, oh, it's Dr. Gundi, oh, they are already getting healed before they even get close, because they know you a good what? Doctor, a good nurse. Even when you know you give them comfort, if you're always the type who is so difficult, you are always causing pain. When you sow pain, you reap what? Pain. When you sow tears, what do you reap? Tears. So this is what is happening in every time you play. Your hypocritical oath, you call it the what? Hippocratic oath, requires that you serve people with all your heart, with all your strength, with all that is in your power. What is beyond your power, God will not demand it from you. You didn't have the resources, that one is beyond you. But what is in your hands? What is in your power? I want to go back to where we read about Cain, and you see. In Genesis, where we have just read about Cain. God is saying to Cain here that there is a curse that comes out of that. You are now under curse, and now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. The ground where the blood is shed starts to reject you. I want to explain this part here so you may understand it. Just like somebody goes and kills Kawesi, that blood of Kawesi falls into the ground. Now the ground is where all of us have our inheritance. Everybody who is born has inheritance in the ground, in the land, because the heavens belong to God, but the earth He has given it to man. So He has apportioned an inheritance to every human being who is born. If you kill somebody, you are cutting them out of their inheritance. That means the law of sowing requires that because you cut them out of their inheritance, you will not also have yours. Does that make sense? That's what God is telling Cain here. That because you have cut him out of his inheritance, when you work the ground is going to rebel against you. The ground is supposed to obey you, so that when you put one seed in the ground, it's supposed to give you its increase. But now that you have done that, the ground will no longer yield its crops to you. It's going to rebel against you. Does this already refer to agriculture? No. It refers to all forms of work. This is what these people were doing, so this is the language they understand. But it affects all forms of work. If you murder, if you shed blood, you have removed somebody from their inheritance. So you work very hard and get very little. Number two, that's the first curse. The second curse is that you will be restless wanderer, meaning you will never be established in the work you do. Have you had people, they are always changing jobs? Today they are in this work, then the next month, 5 months, you say, where are you now? Now I'm in Umem. The next time you find out where are you now, I'm in Yunga. Then it's always something that chases them out. It's always. So they are wanderers. We have so many even in church. The next time we are now in Najanamkumbi. You know, they are now on roads. They even rent. They are renting a house.
I'm wondering where are you wandering?
They are on the Ginger Road. One day they are in Lwere, they are in Panda, then in where you get in the center, then they are on the Tebe Road, Najana Kumbi, then Kajansi, so the people are like that, they're always wandering, they are never established. This is what it is. This is a result of that curse. That curse will never allow you to be established, even in jobs. Today, you are in the produce, buying and selling beans and the maize. The next day, you are selling the chicken. The other day, now you have changed the chicken, now you are selling mukene. Then you are from mukene, then kabaragala. People are like that. Every business you do, you need to learn some. There are some school fees that you pay as you learn. But as you learn, this one now will change, you go to another one. Then you are making it, then you go to another. There are people like that, they are ever changing because they can never be established in something. This is the result of that, because that is how it works. And you are never established in a place, you are never established in business, you are never established in a favor. You come here in the ministry, let me use the Bible, so let me not use the, you will get your own lesson. So according to God, wherever you are, we see examples in the Bible. Joseph starts like a slave, he grows through the structure and becomes the managing director. You start small, you grow through faithfulness, and you become what? The boss. That's how God arranged it. That Daniel goes as a slave, he's taken as an exile to Babylon, he becomes prime minister. He's growing through the system. That is being established. But for you, you are always the same place. You keep changing until you may change districts, but you are always there. You are never there. No. So this is something that you need to consider. When something is in your power, when people's lives especially are in your power, anything that happens to those people, they are on your hands. And this is something you should avoid. That's why you find, I was with Dr. one time in eastern Uganda, in the Padisa, I think it was in Padisa, talking to health workers. He called 300 something. Then the gentleman, I think it was a district health officer, is he here? He was the one from there. Are you the one? When I was there teaching? Where were you?
He was wondering.
Maybe the district medical office or something. There was somebody from the district. Yeah? Your assistant. He was the one who came. Now he made a very interesting comment. You know, we had 3 days. Those people after 3 days, they said, you know, this is something that we have never considered. So this guy said, I now see why many of our children, when we leave, most of us who are in the medical profession, many of our children suffer because of the many things that we have inflicted on what? On people. Through abuse of office, through causing so much pain, abusing our power, because you have so much power. Somebody comes and is in your hands. You can decide life or what. But you're like a judges. Judges listen like it says, "Nkusaide kwa kufa." That's your word to get. But you have so much power in your hands. Because when somebody is brought, you can, carelessly diagnose the sickness or save their lives. So you have, that is the power you have. It's like the power of the judges. Just like you have that kind of power. You can decide somebody's death or save their life. But you see, with God, the greater the authority, the greater the responsibility that goes with it. You have so much authority, but it also has so much responsibility. Responsibility meaning, if you do something wrong, what comes out of that is equal as big as the authority that you have. That's why we need to share these things. Thousands of families are crying, and God is sitting and listening. 1,000 families are all crying about this person whom you would have saved, and they're all crying to him for what? For justice. They're crying for justice. Should God listen to them or not?
He should.
Answer me. Should he listen to them?
Yes.
What does his justice require? He's saying, Dr. Kwale, they are all crying about Dr. Kwale. Now, God's justice demands that he does something about that. Because you are the only doctor there, he will be patient for you to remain there, but you are also accumulating more, curses and punishment. But he will not just remove you like that. And because God is a merciful God, God is a gracious God. Because even when you go to him in repentance, he will still forgive. But it has an impact on your life, on your family, on your children. If you sow tears to these families, your families in the end will do what? Will suffer. Your children after you. Because when God is dealing with families, he deals with us in our respective families. You consider the people in the village where you are not now. You just consider the village where you grew up. Think about the families who are good people, who always loved the people, who always cared for people. I want you to remember one particular family or two, and you'll see what I'm telling you. This is not something I'm cooking up. Those people who are good, the families that come out of that family, the children who come out of that families, they always have a good what? Life. People who served in your village, they served the people, they cared for people. Some of them may be very poor, but they are serving people, maybe in church, maybe somewhere. You check their children and you see. You understand what I'm telling you is a principle that works everywhere. Have you remembered some?
Yes.
Have you remembered some? Now you check the children of those families and you see. Even if the parent was very poor, the children end up being very blessed in life. Because God being a just God, he makes sure that all that they sowed has to be reaped. The man died without reaping it, so the children have to reap it. So he makes sure that everywhere they go, the goodness their parents did is now going to be reaped by the children. But if those, now think about the opposite. Those who are bad, they're always treating others badly, they're always bewitching. Anybody who comes from a family where you are bewitching, your grandfather is always bewitching. Causing pain. Causing pain. We know somebody in our family in our village who was always bewitching others. They put with charms and somebody comes and jumps it and their legs, for a whole month somebody is suffering. There are people like that. When you look at their families and the children that come out of such families, they are always in pain. I know of a certain family. The man was a judge. In those early years of the 50s or 60s, they were very, very rare. There were very few who got chances to become judges. And he was a lawyer, then became a judge among the first ones. He became so rich because he took advantage of all the poor families and he would take their land. So he became stinkingly rich. He had one wife with 8 children, I think 8 or 7 children. But when he died, these children have been fighting over that land. The estate is so big. They have vast estates almost all over the place because their father used his knowledge, his privileged knowledge at that time to acquire all this. But the children have never had peace. They were all educated outside Uganda, they were educated in Europe, in America, but they are ever fighting for the land. Because this land, he didn't get it in a good way. He didn't get it by working. He took advantage of this family and they were all crying. Now the children are fighting. No 2 people in that family are friends, brothers and sisters. They're always enemies. They're always fighting about something. One of them came back from US or Europe somewhere, found his mother, an old woman of 70, had sold one of the pieces of land to meet a certain need, and it was his land, which had in the will, it belonged to this young man. His own son put him in prison. How can you sell my land without telling me? A 70-year-old woman, your mother, throw her into prison? People were shocked. Now this is the kind of, so this woman, in her late years, she has had so many problems because he's ever arbitrating between the sons. Talk about daughter. This is how old after you. She has no peace. There is no peace. Talk about daughter. Of course, no, you are the one that says she's all the time. So you can imagine, when you go to that family, every sickness you have never heard of, they have a lot of money. But when you hear, when I imagine the heart has this, for me, anytime I want to hear about a new disease, I just take on it. Because the diseases they have in that family, so that the money that they got the wrong way, their father got it the wrong way, would still be what? Because they don't have peace. They don't have peace in their marriages, they don't have peace in the family. They never have a family reunion, no. They can't. Every son comes around to see the mother with the grandchildren, but all of them are sick with some very queer sicknesses. Then another reason, then another comes to visit. I don't want to be part of that family. And I want you now to pray for your neighbor and say, Lord, don't make that kind of family for this family. Pray for him, for her, so that this is not the kind of family. Because now they're adding more. I don't want them to add more. I don't want them to add more. Now this is what causes greater pain in the nation. That's what causes greater problems in the nation, where people, service delivery, sometimes people don't connect it to poverty. They don't connect it to such things, sicknesses, diseases. When you understand the scriptures, then you understand why many of even the rich people, they get money but they have no peace. They get big empires like Kasaga, Zimwe. You remember Zimwe? Zimwe, a huge construction. But all of us knew when Zimwe was supposed to put 4 layers of tarmac, he would put 2. Why? Because the other 2 are what? Are shared with the other what? You heard about that? Yeah. And you know, any money that is gotten in such will not give you peace. And as soon as he died, the whole empire collapsed. Others, like Lwere, are still going on. Lwere, because he was a straight man, he wasn't crooked, his empire is still going on. Plastic seed, that farm on Bushuni Road, and many others. Okay? Don't make money in a way that is going to jeopardize your future, the future of your children, the future of your family. It will bring pain. When you cause pain, you reap pain. You cause pain, you reap pain. That is God's justice. God is not fair, but He's just. Fairness is the human side. Justice is God's side. Because He says, can I help you stand up? The 5 of you here.
Yes.
Those tall men, those ones. The short one.
This one is not bad. Okay, stand in one line so that I may illustrate what I want to say. Okay. So you see the first one there. That one is their great-grandfather. This one is the father of this one. This is the father of this one. This is the father of this one. This is okay. Now the Bible says that God punishes the sins of the fathers upon children for 4 generations. So this is the one who was the prophet. This is Ziweta now. This is the one who ate the money for malaria, hepatitis, what else? Hepatitis, and then what else? HIV, TB, what else? Local fund. Now immunization. So, before God, He's a murderer. Because so many people died because of Him. But for Him, He enjoyed a good life. He was driving a big car. He was always traveling business class. All the things during that time. Now, because all the time, as he finishes the global fund, there is immunization money. And he finishes immunization money, there is water that comes. So for him, all his life, the life was what? So he lives like that, and he has sown so much evil. He has caused so much pain to so many families. And he dies, but with in a very powerful coffin, a big, so you die now. Because every minister knows him, and he has contributed a lot of money to political parties, all the politicians come. And they will heap praises and praises. Meanwhile, those people who lost their people are just crying and saying, they are crying to God. But here he is getting all the praises. Now the children, God said, I'll punish the sins of the father upon what? For 4 generations. Now these ones are going to start already, and the Bible says, he punishes this one until this one dies, and his anger has not what? Subsided because of the pain. So you also die in pain. So now the brandy what? The brandy son, he continues to punish this one because of the sin. Yeah? Until he dies, he also dies. Now he's still punishing the sin of the what? You see where many of us are coming from? In fact, for you who are here, majority of you, the reason you are here is because some of your parents did some good thing. Because there are many others who didn't even make it to become doctors. They struggled there, but still they failed. But many of you, there were some good things that your parents did. And because God is faithful to those good things, He always makes sure the children will get what their parents have done. David was a good man, very good, King David. His son Solomon was the opposite. Every time God wanted to punish Solomon, he remembered David. Do you know that? Yes. In the Bible it says, if it was not for my servant David, I was going to punish Solomon, but let me wait. So God will not punish Solomon. Solomon, Zipuya Solomon, Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. Can you imagine a total of 1,000 women? Yeah? 1,000. So if he slept with one every night, it will take him 3 years. That was God was so annoyed so much. But he said, because of my servant David, I will not punish who? Solomon. So Solomon died very rich, but because of his father. So he didn't have any problem. So Solomon died. His son Rehoboam now is the one who paid for this. That's why it is so important that when you are in that privileged position, you remember that there is a God in what? In heaven. This has nothing to do with your religion, whether Muslim, Roman Catholic, Anglican, Moroccan, you don't have atheists. It doesn't matter. These are laws that govern. As long as the earth continues, this law of sowing and reaping will never what? Will never cease. This is a law which does not segregate which religion. So even if you are not coming from my religion, it doesn't matter. This affects all of us because it affects the whole earth. That's why you put one seed of maize in the ground. How many do you get? Do you get only one? No, you get many. So when you sow pain, you don't get one pain. How many do you get? That's a law. Look at it here. Look at here in the scriptures. Everything you sow, you get it in abundance. Jesus talked about that law, and he used the giving. This is the reason why when you give, you get. Okay, let's read it together.
Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you.
Do you see how you reap? Do you see how you reap?
Yes.
You give and it will be given to you. Can we repeat what is highlighted? A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. So if you cause one death, you have sown. How do you reap? A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. You cause the death of 50 people, you have what? Sown. How do you get paid? Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. People come and they are always crying, you are sowing pain. And when you are sowing pain, you reap a good harvest. If you are doing good, you reap a good harvest. When you plant maize, you don't get one seed with poison. You get a good maize. That is the earth. It was commanded to do that. Every seed that is put in you, you have to bring it back in a good measure, press down, shaken together, and running over. So that is the same thing at place of work. If you are always undermining others, what are you doing? So, how will you reap? Good measure. Shaken together, and running over. If you are always talking well about others, what are you doing? So, what will you get back? A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So, this is the law which governs everything that we do. So, don't undermine other people in the office. Do good every time it is in your power. Every time it is in your power, do good for everybody. You are sowing. You never know how it comes back or when it will come back, but always do good for everybody. Whenever it is in your power, bless people with good words, with good service, kindness, even if you don't have drugs or what, just speaking good words. tetulina ddagala kati genda olabe okole bwoti musawo webale musawo mukama konsi. Those prayers God will hear. Those ones God will hear. When people are constantly saying good words about you, they are like the cries on the opposite side. If you are always doing bad, people are always crying and God listens. If you are always doing good, I would have so the woman goes, she has no money to give you. Whenever you give to the poor, the Bible says you are lending to the Lord, who will pay you during your time of need. That's what the Bible says. Whenever you give to the poor, whenever you help the poor, you are lending to God, who will pay you in your time of what? Do you remember the woman who died? We read, all of us, this nation read about the woman who died because she didn't have 5,000 shillings. Do you remember that?
Yes, we remember.
I remember all of us, it was in the newspaper. This woman came, I don't remember the hospital where it was, but she didn't have 5,000. I don't know if it was a delivery or what, whether it was delivery or something. But she didn't have 5,000 shillings. Yeah? I felt so bad because 5,000 real, anybody could have what? And she died and nobody could bail her out. Just 5,000 shillings, her whole life is lost. In a nation where we lose lives like that, really, how can we be blessed? And this is really in our hands, health workers. And God really looks at you. You do your best. There are things that are beyond you. There are things that you cannot do because you are also encumbered, but at least you have a heart to help. You have the heart to help, and you have done your best. And your conscience tells you there is nothing you will help. If your conscience tells you that, be at peace. But where things are in your power, and then you use other excuses, that is terrible, because that blood is on your what? On your hands. And that, yes, and not only you, for generations. Okay? Now, this law of sowing and reaping, I felt it is so important to understand it, even in the working relationships. When you're working with other people in the office, it's important that you consider them. The Bible tells us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. That I will not do anything to contribute to somebody's downfall. That's not a biblical concept. If you are the DHO, or you have any work you're doing in the institute, what you do to contribute to somebody's promotion, you are sowing. You understand that? You are sowing. One day when you are in a similar situation, other people, God will cause other people to pay you back in the same way to promote you. Every time you do something to undermine anybody, you are sowing seed. That seed, how will you repeat? I want to hear you remembering that, because if you forget everything else, please don't forget that. How do you reap? That's how you reap all the good and all the evil. Now, because our time is now finished, I want to end with this here in this session. Allow me a few more minutes to end with this, because it's a very, very important principle too. Can we read this verse in Ephesians 4:28? He who has been stealing must steal no longer. Can we read this loud? He who has been stealing must steal no longer, but rather let him work, making an honest living with his own hands, so that he may be able to give those in need. In summary, Paul is saying, stop stealing, work, then give. Now, this is speaking from commandment number 8, which says, thou shalt not steal. He's extrapolating it. He's putting it in the day-to-day life. In other words, if God said that you should not steal, it means he ordained ownership, because you can't steal something which has no owner. If God gave a commandment number 8 and says you shall not steal, it means that he was also ordaining ownership. That's what we used to say when we were young. Something which has no owner, you can't steal it because it has no owner. But when he said that, that means he expects us to own. And the only legitimate means to own and to acquire ownership and title to property is through work. Every time you work, you have acquired, even if you don't have that money in cash. Every time you work, there is money that accrues to your account. This is the only legitimate means in the kingdom of God, in the whole universe, the way you get ownership to property. You can bequeath it to your children, that is succession. But the original way, the primary way that it first comes, is by what? By work. And when you acquire ownership to property, then the Bible tells you you can give, you can share. The principle in the Bible is when you get wealth, it shouldn't be selfish living. You should always, in your getting, consider other people who do not have. Now, this is the principle. And how does it work in the day-to-day life? Look at the next part here. I want to read another passage. I'm removing this thing. Can we read this together? 1, 2, 3, go. Servants, obey in everything those who are your earthly masters, not only when their eyes are on you as pleasers of men, but in simplicity of purpose with all your heart, because of your reverence for the Lord, and as a sincere expression of your devotion to Him. Whatever may be your task, work at it heartily from the soul as something done for the Lord and not for men, knowing with all certainty that it is from the Lord and not from men that you receive the inheritance, which is your real reward. The one whom you are actually serving is the Lord. For he who deals wrongfully will reap the fruit of his folly and be punished for his wrongdoing. And with God, there is no partiality. No matter what a person's position may be, whether he is a minister or commissioner or director or DHO, it doesn't matter the position. Okay. Now, God, you can see that He judges all of us at our own levels. Okay. Now look at the summary. 1. Maintain a submissive what? Attitude, not eye service or recognition. There are people who always want to work when the boss is there, so that the PS is visiting and you see everybody is so busy all over the place. We call that eye service. That's when the whole place is clean and you're calling that eye service because you are doing for the praises of men. He says, no, don't do eye service. Do it all the time. Maintain that because it is the right thing. Number 2, be single-minded and purposeful. Meaning if you are in that place, you've been posted to Nakapiri Print. I'm sure you didn't like it initially, but now that you are there, do your best while you're in Nakapiri Print so that you leave a what? And in the Igbo mark, during your time when that man was here, he really changed this place. That is what you want on your record in heaven. And God can bless you from anywhere. Whether I'm that, I had somebody who was from that there. Another,
Even Nakapiri is
Nakapiri is Nakapiri. Nakapiri, yes. While you are there, leave an indelible mark. You say what single-minded means? You come to office and you concentrate on how to do better. People who are not single-minded means as soon as you get to Nakapiri, you are always reading news to look for greener pastures. Greener pastures. Yeah? You see, the people who are like that, they will never concentrate and they will never perform. Because all the time they are moving.
wanderers.
You wanderers. they have just got a job, they are looking for another one. How, when would they ever concentrate to do something there? So their CV is so long, but with no major accomplishment. All they show from this year to this year, I did it. So there is nothing there to show. Apart from the list of long what? No, you don't want that. It's just a list to prove that you were wanderer. The list only proves wandering, it doesn't prove performance. So in what God wants us is to perform. Now work is the expression of your devotion to God. It is your true worship. This is how you show your devotion to God, because it shows in the day-to-day life. Your work is done as unto God, not men. Yeah, it's connected with the first one. You know who your real master is. Sometimes you may have problem with your immediate boss, as you have said, with the cows and what, district. Sometimes they may mistreat you, but because you know you don't serve them, you're serving God and His people, you disregard what those people are doing, and for you, you do what is in your power. Okay? For you, you do what is right. The district may give you trouble, but for you, you are doing your right thing. God is your ultimate employer. Your boss is your immediate supervisor, but your God is your ultimate employer. How do you like that? It is God who is your ultimate employer. Cow or district service, they call district service commission. Yes. Those who are your immediate supervisor. But your ultimate employer is what? God. And because he's your ultimate employer, he's watching and marking your work. Did you hear that? Yes. God is what? Marking all the time. Marking, watching what you are doing. And he will reward diligence and punish folly. That's what the scripture. I'm just speaking from what we are reading. He will reward your work. Long after you've left, he still has a record of your performance. Look at another one. That means that every work you do is paid by God because he's your ultimate employer. Again, God credits your account justly because he's a just God, he does not cheat. The district doesn't have money. All they are paying you is peanuts. Your work is worth 5 million. How much do they pay you? 1 million or 2. But the work you are doing, you go for so God, because God is just and because he's your employer, he makes sure the balance. I'm going to show you how he deals with your balance. Every month what you do is worth 5 million. But the district is only giving you 1.5 or 2. So what does he do with the other 3 million balance? He will put it on your account. It keeps accumulating every month. So the payment or the salary is not commensurate to the work you do. So he makes sure, because he's your employer. The other one is your the immediate supervisor, but he, being the ultimate employer, makes sure you get value for money, for everything that you do. This is something that released me from working for money. This was a big breakthrough for me. It released me from working for money. I understood that everything that I do, I'm doing it for God. Do you know what I'm doing now? I'm talking at I'm talking. God is putting some money on the account for you. Whether anybody thanks me or not, if I talk to all of you here and you're not under this big change, all that you accomplished there, they will also put on my account. You have sown. I've sown. That's how God works. That's how God works. He will also put something on my account. So that helped me greatly to know that I don't always have to consider money. I know for some people when you say that, they're like, what? I'm telling you, we go to some districts and say, we're not signing. They never do anything until you tell them there is some signing. I never consider that. No. There are people who call me sometimes in the village, they don't have money. You go to some villages, you have to visit them, sometimes you are the one who gives them. Because when I understand I'm serving God and serving the people, God will pay me. When you get that clear, you are delivered from working for money. Now you pray for your neighbor and say, Lord, deliver him from what? Because it's such a big What I'm saying is this. I'm not saying you're going to work for free because God will not cheat you. So even if what I'm saying, that you are not stuck with the salary and your performance, you don't even consider the payment. Once you have a duty or a task, you do it to your best without considering what? Money. Now, money will automatically come many times. Sometimes your payments, sometimes consultancy you do. But your primary consideration is not what? Money. Your primary consideration is meeting people's needs. When you make that the goal of your life, you'll be amazed what peace you get. But not only peace, God will bring the money. Because your goal is to bring change. Your goal is to transform. Your goal is to bless life. So money will come following you. Money will chase you actually. Because everybody will want a person like you. Whether you are doing a consultancy, whether you are here, money will follow you because people will want such a person like you. Whose work is not hindered by what you get. Others, allowance what they make up. If you are always like that, you never perform your best. And that will affect you. Because you don't perform optimally, and so your capacity is hindered. Your wealth comes from your capacity. When God is blessing you, He first increases your capacity. True wealth is your capacity. It's not the salary or contract you've signed. Capacity means the ability to deliver or perform. That is your true wealth. That one is not stolen. Capacity. Let me put it this way. How many of you would want to own this hotel here? And it's yours. How many would want? Only 5. Now, how many of you say if you give me this hotel, I can manage it and really? So you see why God is not giving it to you. So true wealth, therefore, is not this. True wealth is the capacity. That's why the money, even if you crave for it, if you don't have capacity yet to own it, you'll never get it. You can't even keep it. You can't. They give it to you, in a few months it is run down, and very quickly you declare what? Bankrupt. So what was the use of it? So when God is blessing us, He does not give you money. To make you rich, He wants to give you the capacity. The capacity is the real wealth. When people start to equate money to work, they are killing their capacity, which is their true wealth. So they will end up still remaining poor. Because they put their trust in something else. They should have learned to say, let me work hard, increase my capacity, therefore perform it, because that is your true wealth. If they give you a lot of work, and you have a lot of work to do, you are stretched, it increases your capacity. You can manage so many things at the same time. You learn to multitask. That is the true wealth. Don't complain when they give you a lot of work. Because they are increasing your capacity, and therefore they are increasing your wealth. If you are always underperforming or performing under your optimum capacity, you are killing yourself. You are killing yourself. You're going to die there with a smaller capacity when you should have had more. Look at this. This is the ability you should have had. You have this capacity to perform. Instead of agreeing and using it all, you are only using this. You are killing yourself. So this battery is not working, so it will die. You know your phone? If you always charge it to 30%, and you charge it to 30%, and you charge it very soon. You know that in phone batteries, you are like the battery like that. So most of your other part is not being used. You always charge it to 30%. You always charge it, but very soon you will remain 30% when actually you should have been 100. So it is good for you that if your capacity is this, your work is like this. It always pushes you. So the work you are given is always much, so you work and you go beyond this. You are increasing your capacity. When you increase your capacity, you are increasing your wealth. The true wealth is inside you, it is not the money. If you think money is your true wealth, you are totally mistaken, and that will categorically limit you. So what God does is always to put you in a situation that will stretch you. Because once you are stretched, you learn to multitask, you start to manage so many things. That this is what Karim does. Karim is the owner of this. In 1993, I went to meet him. I wanted to buy a car from him. He still had the Hotel. It's still his job. They told me, to see Karim, you must be here between 6 and 7. This is where he sees people. I said, what? 6? Between 6 and 7 in the morning. So I went there and met him. This woman, this. And they told me, you make sure this. There were people who helped me. He said, got to the point. Because he has so many things he has to do in 1 hour. He comes to manage Equatorial Hotel. He looks at all the sales, all the incomes, all the expenditures, there were many other departments, but all of them are supposed to be there in 1 hour, and he has to finish all of them. Because he moves from there, then to Debe, then to another place. Then they told me he has to do that every what? Every single what? Every single day. Then he goes to Imperial, that's why he has this whole chain of what? That is the capacity he has. The capacity he has is that he's able to check everything on a daily basis. And he knows, then I was dealing with him with Imperial Lawyer when I used to do our brand, our global leadership summit there. He knows all the people who have slept in the hotel every night because he checks, he has set a system in place. He checks it personally. That is the true capacity. Now, suppose tomorrow, Karim just calls you and says, you know, you're never what? How many hotels he has in this state? He has this one, then there is another one down, then there is that one going towards the what? Botanic, then there is another one, the blue one. Yeah? Then there is another one, then there are how many, all those hotels. He still maintains them. This is the discipline and the capacity to manage that gives you wealth. So when you connect your working to money, you are going to limit yourself so much. So you think your whole future is just on that thing? You are killing yourself. You are charging your battery to 30% when you should have stretched it and charged it out and used every opportunity to learn everything you are able to learn in that district or in that hospital or in that system. You learn this, you learn this, you learn this, because tomorrow it will be your own company. Tomorrow it will be your clinic. Tomorrow it will be your hospital. If you cannot be faithful in another man's vineyard, you will never have your own. The Bible says, if you've not been faithful in another person's vineyard, who can trust you with your own? So while you're here, you are faithful to everything. You check this, you check a DHO, you check this personally, accounting, and so you're learning accounting, you're learning administration, you're learning management, you're learning leadership skills, so you are bettering yourself. You are not looking at money. You have been delivered from working for money. Now you want to increase your capacity. By the time you leave, in fact, people will be running for you because a person like that, everybody wants to. Yeah? USA will be looking for you. All these organizations, they are looking for people like that. So once you make that a principle of life, you will never sleep up to 10 o'clock. Possible. You can't. 10 o'clock, okay. 10 o'clock. Impossible. You know you've set this in your life. You're working. You are increasing your capacity, and that is the true wealth. This is
Monday.
Yeah. Now, this is what is so important. So that's what I meant when God delivered you from working for money. You are now working on yourself every day. You're working for yourself, on your life. You know that your life, I keep all this, now I can come, I speak to you here as people in medical. But when you call me to lawyers, I speak to them the same way. The other day I had a meeting with the judges of the Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, High Court. Were you there in Mukono?
Yes, I was there.
She can tell you, you take me anywhere, I can speak to all those people. Why? Because first of all, I do what I'm talking about. It's not theory. But now I keep all the time studying and reading. I read for the last 33 years. My day starts at 3 a.m. By the time you wake up at 8 o'clock, I can't do that. You are killing yourself. I want to kill you. So I go, I live here, and I preach in the US, where all the time I want to keep myself relevant. You as a doctor should keep studying, reading. You stop reading, you stop reading. Because you think you get outdated. You are so from 1970, but they have already found out. You are an expert then, you are already out of date. So you have to keep up to date. New diseases always coming. When we were studying, the atom was the smallest indivisible part of it. There was electron, there was proton. So if you study then, there was a time when the proton, the atom was the what? The smallest. Now there's a neutron, there's the electrons. Cutting, so you can't keep on that all the. So you pause it, we are the experts. What? People have already gone on. The younger people. We get a position and you are already obsolete. So capacity. Look at this. Here, I was finishing something here. If you are overpaid, you can't keep what is not yours. If you are what? This is very, very serious, and I'm going to show you in mathematics. Okay? Look at somebody who has a contract of working for 300,000 a month. 300,000 a month. I'm using a simple calculation. If you're supposed to work for 30 days, that means every day you get how much? If you have to work for 10 hours, how much is that per hour? 1,000. So if you arrive at the place of work and you arrive late, at 2 hours, how much have you cheated?
2,000.
2,000. If you leave 1 hour early, how much have you cheated?
1,000.
If you spend another 2 hours, meeting after the meeting,
WhatsApp.
How much have you cheated? So a total cheating of the day is how much? 5,000. So if you do that every day for 30 days, how much have you cheated? 150. Yet in the PS, who pays you? The district. It's the district. The district, the cow will not know that you have done all this cheating. He will still pay you the contractual figure of 300,000. Yet what you actually worked for was half. You were paid 300,000, but you only worked for 150. The 150 you worked for, you have a title deed for it. Do you remember that the ownership thing? Do you remember the ownership? Stop stealing, work. When you work, you get the title for what you've worked for. In the spirit, you have a title deed for everything you have legitimately worked for. There is a title for that money you've worked for. You may not see it, but in the spirit realm, it's like that. Whatever you've worked for, you have a title deed for it. What you've not worked for, you don't have a title deed. If you buy that without a title deed, can you keep it? Anybody will come and do what steal. That's what it is like. So this one, you have no title deed, and because you didn't work for it, you stole it, you can't keep it. Look at how you lose it. When you take money you have not worked for, you accumulate debt on your account, a negative corrosion. Because you have no ownership, no title, you cannot keep that money. Accidents or unexplained sicknesses. As you leave Tebe, you hear about an accident about your child, your wife, or boda district. That kind of thing. You get yours, and it always comes on the 20th. Your money gets there on what? 28th. So from 29, 30 years first, your problems always come around that time. Because they come to steal, to take what you stole. Now it always comes 29. Anybody who has problems during 29? don't put up your hand. Okay, don't put up your hand. But that's what happens. I always use a simple example. You leave the office for ladies, you go back home. Your child was okay when you left. As soon as the money gets on your account, the child is very sick. You rush to the clinic, they say, we can't manage this one. You go to another bigger clinic, say, hey, this one requires miracle. As soon as the 150,000 which you stole is finished, the child is alive and kicking. Majority of the people who are working in government and their money is like that. I told the Dr. Yomoki one day, because for the workers, I told him the workers, what they need to hear first is this. It's not the minimum wage. Our greatest need in Uganda is not what?
Minimum wage.
No. I know you may not agree with me, but that's not our greatest need. Our greatest need is to first instill this work ethics. Because even people who get very little money, as I'm going to show you, they will still be able to make sense out of it. Better than those who get a lot of money, but they have stolen much of it. You understand that? Yes. So, this is important. So, unexplained sickness, always steal your money. Now, depending on how much you steal, for those who steal in Uganda shillings, they get sick here in Morocco. of the land. You buy a car, and you buy a car, and it is a problematic car. Always in the garage, especially during the end of the month. You start a business and a relative bankruptcy. You got somebody you thought is from the village. She's innocent, only to find out she was always siphoning money out of your shop. You thought she was innocent, but stealing. You lend it to a close friend and he refuses to pay you or he fails to pay you. You are always in chronic financial loss or indebtedness, paying unnecessary interest. You even lose your collateral. Because after all, the collateral you are losing, you are used with stolen money. You have no peace, you are never satisfied, you are not contented. That's why thieves have to keep stealing and stealing and stealing. You can't have peace. What you steal will never give you peace. Now look at this unfaithful stewardship. Can we read this together? 3 contractors are bidding to fix a broken fence for a government building. One from Bangladesh, another from India, and the third from China. They go to the building with the government official to examine the fence. The Bangladesh contractor takes out a tape measure and does some measuring. Then works some figure with a pencil, say, well, the figure the job will cost 900, 400 for materials, 400 for my team, 100 for profit. The Chinese contractor also does some measuring and says, I can do the job for $700, 300 for material, 300 for the team, 100 for profit. The Indian contractor does not even measure, but leans over to the government official and whispers, $2,700. The official is incredulous, says, hey, you didn't even measure like the other guys. How did you come up with such a high figure? The Indian contractor whispers back, 1,000 for me, 1,000 for you, and we hire the cheap Chinese to fix the fence. Done deal. Have you heard of such things? Have you heard of such things? Now, what is wrong with this? Unfaithful what? Stewardship. You are a steward of the resources that are in your power. When you've been entrusted with resources, as a public servant or employee, you're a steward of national resources or district resources, and you're accountable for the decisions you make. When you betray a trust, you are stealing. You have allowed negative corrosion on your account, and it will catch up with you like a Gehazi, taken king. Work is the only legitimate means of creating wealth. So a society or nation which only wants to acquire without creating wealth runs into spiritual and later on economic bankruptcy. That is how companies, institutions, empires, and civilizations fall. When you trace all the civilizations, the Egyptian, the Babylonian, the Medo-Persian, the Greek, the Roman, all of them rose from a moral uprightness at the beginning. They rose to a certain level. As soon as they get very wealthy, they start to become very corrupt. And that is always the beginning of the what? The fall. Even government, when people are starting, they are always very good. They are frugal, they are serious. When people start to feel that they are now satisfied and the corruption comes in, you know that is the beginning of the what? The downward flow. That is why it's so important for you to understand this. Wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathers by labor or work shall what? Shall increase. These are laws that you can't change, whether you like it or not. This is how all these empires you look at, Britain, what, all of them, like that. They started. And once you get to a level where you are overindulgent or what, that's where problems come. On a personal level, that is the same. Look at the faithful steward. Let's end with the faithful steward now. Maybe a faithful steward and then employer. Suppose we have the same employee, another employee, but faithful, with the same contractual basis, arrives at the place of work earlier. Supposed to come at 8, he arrives at 6. Those are 2 what? Hours. Yeah? 2,000 added. He leaves 1 hour late because he wants to clear his desk. That's another 1,000 shillings. Even during his free time, he wants to work somewhere because there is a deadline for a certain project or whatever paper. Those are all things that your boss, supervisor may not know, but you are doing it. Sometimes it's more commitment to this or that. God still pays them. What your boss can't see, God sees it. And so he pays you. Look at an extra 5,000 you are adding every day. Yet the cow will still pay 300,000. What about the extra that I did? God is not a cheat. He will make sure you get that money. That money, that extra you are supposed to do. What you worked for was 450, but you were only paid 300. So God credits your account with the extra. That one you should clap for. So this is what set me free from working for money. I understood. I work for God. I don't have to depend on what people pay me. If they pay me, good. If they don't, still God will what? Will pay me. I'm telling you, it will be such a relief. And you'll be amazed how much you will increase your capacity, because now you work to the back of the best. You don't have to be limited by what is available for your salary, for your words. No. When you work faithfully, you accumulate credit on your account. Because you have ownership and title to that money, it comes back to you in many ways, directly or indirectly. You buy a piece of land at an unbelievable price. Yeah?
For sure.
Unbelievable price. Costs 550 million. The old woman in the village, woman, I'll give it to you at 15 million. I say, I don't have money, but what we send them to know district, they say, don't worry, you pay me as you get. Pay me the installments. So the old woman doesn't have much need, so you bring whatever you get until you complete the what? It does not put you on pressure. That's how you tell a blessing that has come from the Lord. Because the Bible says, when God gives you a blessing, it does not add sorrow to it. So something that has come from the Lord, it will not bring sorrow, worry, concern, what? Pressure. That pressure will not be there. So something that comes from the Lord, it is such a somebody at the street. So when it comes from God, it will be like that. It will be unbelievable. And it will be so, it will give you peace, you will not be worried, because it's a blessing from the Lord. He does not add sorrow to it. An unexpected inheritance comes to you. They leave you with an inheritance you are not expecting. A sponsorship program for further studies without toiling for it. You get appointed to a well-paying job. They call you from the district there up to the ministry. Hey, what happened here? They think you are the one who should come here. Yeah? You don't have to toil for this or that. Special favors, lenience to you by school administration for your children. You are allowed to pay school fees when you can. A bursary, sponsorship for your children. I'm showing you this to tell you that if you serve and work faithfully, you are serving God who is a just God. God cannot cheat you. You do the right thing. Because now we are in a generation where people say, people who are doing right are like the ones who are being what? Ostracized. Because the wrong ones are the many. That's why you need this information and the truth to be so ingrained in you to understand that you can still live in a crooked world and remain straight. And remain honest. And remain trustworthy. And remain doing what you were supposed to do. And at the right time, they are slow but sure. Tell your colleague, they are slow but sure. family, you do not get sick often because God saves you from that unnecessary expenditure. You have joy in your marriage and in your what? Your family. How many of you know that is a great blessing from God? Every time you are looking forward to go back home, because your wife will do what? Will have you come. Hiyo nani ngolu kutamanyinde kumuhaga. That is very good. You go home and everybody, the children are home. This is one of the blessings that God gives to those who are working. You have no worries. You see, when you are always stealing, every time there is an audit, for that whole week you don't sleep. You don't have peace. Because the audit is back. Even when there is no audit, every time you go. Because the weekend you run when nobody is chasing you. Then everybody comes with the time, every vehicle you see. If some people are like that, they never have peace. Sometimes you run from your own shadow. Only know it was my shadow. So you have a peace of mind, you are satisfied, you are contented, because that's what you are. When you live straight, you are not worried. You see people coming with the ties in a group, you know, maybe they are, even if they have come to audit, you are live the straight life. I've not got nothing to fear. This is some of the things that you have to inculcate again. Now, look at the cheating employer. You have employees with the same contract basis. You have a factory. You have 200 employees. Instead of paying them the right amount, which you have money to pay them rightly, but you cheat them. And you pay them 150 instead of 300. If you are cheating 200 employees of 150,000 every month, in a year, you have cheated 360 million. In 30 years of your factory, you have cheated 10.8 billion. You see this? I'm not sure many of you here fall into this category, because most of you are real employees. You're not. But this applies to people who have factories, what? They have capacity, they are making profits, but they are still cheating the what? Employees, which they know they can do better. So what you've cheated 10.8 billion. Who is going to pay that when you die?
Your children's
To the third and what?
Fourth generation.
They have farms, they have gardens. They employ people in gardens.
Oh yeah, you're right. Omukozeka ayasize glass yasingira 10. Omusala kono gw'omwezi guno gugenze. The glass was 1,000 children. Her salary was 80,000. Yes. They will come because I want to go to festival because it has nothing to do. You can't go to LC. Yeah. Now we have so many people like that. Our parents used to have workers from all over. Our parents in Uganda here. Our workers were from Usoga, from Kole, from where? Mistreated, it tells you. Mistreated them. But where is it? When was it? Do you know what that means? What are you was it? Because they still call it workers, you know. I remember a mother would say, ticket. So you work and then you keep those tickets. So your payments, you bring tickets. In the 70s, this continued up in the 70s. So our mother would say, Muswahili, we keep your the ticket you know. Now when I look back, maybe they don't be anything about these people, these workers. People are poor when they are cheated, when they are oppressed. Where do they cry?
To God.
To God. They can't get justice from anywhere. Look at these many families sometimes that are thrown out of their land. Where do they cry, you think?
To God.
God. You don't want to be part of any of that thing. Because the day of reckoning comes. When that day of reckoning comes, you no longer, God is so patient, but when the day of reckoning comes, it's so painful. But at that time, you can no longer plead. It's too late. So we mistreated many of these people. In Mugono, there was a gentleman, he was a Mpakasi. He used to work and then cheated, and then and he worked faithfully. Their family got bankrupt. He accumulated money and bought the whole estate of the people for whom he was working. So all the children of that family are now workers in his what? And this is what he says. Meaning we used to go early in the morning to ask for jobs and money. But now those people whom we used to go to get, they are the ones now who come early in the morning to me. That is the kind of talk. Now that is a serious. So for us, in our you as workers, wherever you are, I want you to take this as a very, very serious message. It has nothing to do with the salary you get. It has nothing to do with the government in power. It's a principle of life. It is something that you can say you can be rich anywhere, anytime, whichever. It has nothing to do with the other people. It has all things to do with you. The principle you have decided to espouse in your life. You are going to build your capacity. You are going to become richer because of what you do. You are always stretching yourself to make sure you increase your capacity, your ability, your performance. You don't need a supervisor. You supervise yourself. You set your own personal goals, and you reach them. You say, this year, I want to do this. Just set that for yourself, the goal. I'll do this because I want to increase my ability, my capacity. That is your true wealth. That one, nobody can steal. They can steal your car, they can steal your life. They can't steal your capacity. Somebody who has built capacity, you can pick him here, throw him in Kepsikunya, and he will become rich again. Because the capacity is there. That's why Bazum come here, and they come as workers, and very soon they become our employers. Because when the capacity is there in you, wealth is already in you. You remember God, because it is He who gives you capacity to get wealth. It is that capacity that is the true wealth. Thank you very much for listening to me.